Hello, everyone, and welcome to another community conversation on Facebook Live and WHBG Channel 20. I'm Mayor Eric Pappenfuss. It's good to have you all with us today. And today's topic is community development in Harrisburg. We're going to introduce you to a number of projects which are currently in various phases of development, which are going to really change the face of Harrisburg for the better. And I'm very pleased today that we've got four extraordinary guests. We have Ryan Sanders, who is the founder at 3T Group, LLC. We have Tarek Castile, who is the president at TLC Construction and Renovations, LLC. We have Corey Dupree, who is the COO at the Bridge Echo Village. And we have Mchale Simpson, who is the CEO at Capital Rebirth Incorporated. They'll all be joining us to talk about their various projects. And if you're not aware of some of these projects, you really need to know about them. It is incredibly exciting for the future of our city. I want to begin, however, with a few general announcements, as we always do here on Facebook Live on Fridays at noon. I want to start with the latest initiative that the city's Economic Development Department has been sponsoring, which is a project called Choose Harrisburg, or Choose HBG. And we are encouraging businesses to go to our website, harrisburgpa.gov, go to harrisburgpa.gov/choosehbg and sign up your business. You can actually sign up your business. You can give us a copy of your logo. And we're going to use them throughout the month of August to really promote a culture of shopping locally and supporting locally owned businesses. It's called Choose HBG. It's something that all of our businesses need, and they need especially in this time of COVID-19, which has had such an impact on small businesses generally. We're trying to do something really positive here, trying to direct dollars locally through a Choose HBG campaign. So go to the website, register your business. If you know a business in Harrisburg that should be a part of this campaign, tell them to go to the website and register the business. They'll make contact with our economic development team of Nona Watson and Jamal Jones, and we will heavily promote the whole concept as August rolls on here and the summer continues. Also wanted to announce that we have planned a town hall with the organizers of Black Lives Matter for this coming July 23rd at 6 p.m. at the Reservoir Park Bandshell. I know this town hall has been in the works for some time, and I'm really excited about it, and it is something which we're pleased to host outdoors. So masks will be required, and you can spread out along the grass there at Reservoir Park. The city will be providing the sound, and it should be a really good conversation. As a corollary to that, I wanted to note that these are the last few weeks that we'll be soliciting input from the public on the 8 Can't Wait initiative, which you've heard me discuss before, but which is basically going to the city's website, reviewing the use of force policy, and suggesting comments or possible revisions to that policy by emailing them to me at 8cantwait@harrisburgpa.gov. That's the number 8, can't, C-A-N-T, wait, W-A-I-T, at harrisburgpa.gov. And I've gotten dozens and dozens of comments. I'm almost done the gathering phase. I'll take it through this town hall event on July 23rd, and then we're going to make some revisions and have those revisions in place by the time council returns from its summer break. I'm sure we'll also be discussing at the town hall on July 23rd the proposed police advisory board. So come out and have your voices be heard on that issue. Many of you have already sent in comments, and as I said last week, I am greatly heartened by the degree to which everyone is taking an active interest in the legislative process. That's a good thing, and I look forward to signing that bill. So in the news as well, we have some positive news from BioBot. You often have heard me talk about the data which we're getting from our wastewater system regard to COVID-19 and its spread. We saw that data go down in the beginning of June and then tick back up at the end of June as part of what was occurring nationally, a sort of double dip concept in which things were actually starting to get a little bit worse. And you saw that reflected in the county testing and the statewide testing as well as the national testing as well. Well, I'm pleased to report in July, that trend has continued to go back down. So, so far far from seeing a spike in July. We've actually seen it decrease. It's still relatively high. It's high in comparison to Pennsylvania. It's high in comparison to the region. It's still very serious, but the rates have gotten better in July than they were in June, and that's a good thing for Harrisburg. The estimate from the MIT scientists that review the data continues to be now in July that about 1 out of 10 individuals actually is carrying the virus, many of whom don't know that they have it and are asymptomatic. But that is a decrease in the heights that we saw back in June and earlier. Other notices, wanted to let people know that there's a public meeting going on tomorrow, Saturday, at the Broad Street Market. I'll be there, dropping by. This is in the space between the two buildings, outdoors, and it's really just an opportunity to learn a little bit about progress on the various Vision Zero initiatives that the city has done, including a redesign of 6th Street in front of the Ben Franklin School. Now, this is something that we worked with the school district on to try and make it safer for the pickup and drop-off and crossing of our youth in Harrisburg. It's really a dramatic transformation. We were going to have a meeting back before COVID struck, and we're trying to do this in a sort of innovative way by having it outdoors with poster boards. But you can come speak to me, you can speak to the city engineer, and you can find out more. And that will serve as a little bit of a heads up about next week's show. Next week's Facebook Live is going to be on Vision Zero, and we'll bring some charts and diagrams, not just of what's happening on 6th Street, but also updates on other projects that I know you're interested in, such as the State Street Rapid Response, Forster Street, 2nd Street, all the various Vision Zero initiatives that are going on in the city. So that'll be next week. Tune in for that show. Another positive thing I wanted to give you an update on is, as you know, the city summer programming has been limited due to the virus. We didn't open our pools, and there's been limited activities. The food distribution plan continues to go well in our parks and playgrounds. But we are adding something positive, which is outdoor movie night at the Bandshell in Reservoir Park. That's going to happen for 3 dates coming up here, July 31st, August 7th, and August 14th at 7 p.m., again at the Bandshell in Reservoir Park. And they've got some good movies. We're going to see Black Panther and Remember the Titans and Aladdin and things like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will want to encourage everybody to wear a mask and practice social distancing. But we will provide some snacks, and it'll be nice. And hopefully you can bring your blankets and chairs, and the whole family can come out and enjoy movie night. So that's coming up. First movie, again, July 31st, 7 p.m. at the Bandshell. I also wanted to give a short update to let people know that the commercial trash credit program continues going on very well in Harrisburg. Remember, if you had a business and it was negatively impacted by the governor's order, you can be eligible for a credit on your future trash bills. This is a forward-looking economic development initiative for the city of Harrisburg. But you have to apply for that credit by August 1st. So again, I'll mention it this week and next week and the following week, but you have to apply in July. Now, every commercial account holder should have received a letter. You can also go to the city's website, again, harrisburgpa.gov. You can go to /coronavirus and then economic development, and that will tell you about the program, but you may be eligible. And this will basically cut your bills in half for the final quarter of this year. So September, October, November, December, you could be paying less on your trash bills, and I hope people will take advantage of that credit program. We're trying to get the word out. Also, Saturdays in the city are continuing. There was some news this past week from Governor Wolf, basically cracking down a bit on bars and on areas where there have been larger indoor congregations of individuals, especially around alcohol. That's not what Saturday in the City is about. That's about outdoor dining, and that is still allowed and encouraged, and we hope people will continue to come out and support our businesses by dining outside on Saturdays, including this weekend. That continues through the end of August. And also, as a little bit of positive news, because the community has been asking, The commissioner reports that the South Allison Hill Police Substation will be opening to the public on Monday. That's this coming Monday. It has basic staffing, and the police will be in and out of that building on a regular basis. So the community's been asking for that. It got delayed due to COVID, but we are going to be officially opening that up to the public with regular hours starting on Monday. And just a general reminder about City Hall. If you haven't checked out City Hall, we are open. We're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 2:30. Many employees are still telecommuting, but City Hall is open, and Treasury is open 1 day a week. So if you want to pay those bills in person, you need to come on a Wednesday between 8:30 and 2:30. Otherwise, you can continue to use the drop box, which is there at City Hall, to pay bills on other days. So those are all my announcements, and I want to get right to the topic at hand, which is community development. And I thought we would start with a wonderful project called Bethel Village, which is being proposed by a group of individuals, including Ryan Sanders, who is our first guest and is joining us now. But let's talk about the historic concept first, because this project is being planned for an area of Harrisburg which has a long and distinguished history in the African American community. Can you help situate viewers? What block are we talking about, and what is the history of that block, and why is it important that we honor that history by revitalizing that section of Harrisburg? Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for having me, Mayor. I appreciate your vision and the help and support that you've provided specific to this project here. The entire block in which we're talking about, we've coined it as Jackson Square. That particular block is a collection of about 12 to 14 different parcels that we've been able to work with several different partners to amalgamate and to be able to start the historical preservation efforts. This is an important block to Harrisburg in many different ways, specific to the Black Wall Street narrative that's out there. That's modeled after an area in Tulsa that was burned down, that was full of Black businesses that were thriving at the time. And as the Capitol Interplex started to expand, the old 8th Ward was lost, and this collection of businesses were the only Black businesses that were left. The first African-American business that was there was started by the father of local historian, Mr. Caleb Jackson Jr. Mr. Caleb Jackson ran the barbershop there, which started in 1934, right after the First World War. And then from there, other different African-American businesses start to conjure there. One in particular was ran by Mr. German Jackson, who the block is actually coined after, and they're no relation. He started the Jackson House Hotel, which is a site on the Green Book in which, in the Jim Crow era, when African-American entertainers and athletes were in the area, they had no place to stay. So he opened his doors to the likes of Cab Calloway, Mahalia Jackson, Joe Louis, and several others as well. So the entire project we're really, really excited about, and we want to utilize it as a microcosm as well to show that African-American businesses can still be thriving, and we can work together to be able to support our own community.
Great. Thank you, Ryan, for that bit of history. I know that, and I think everyone understands now where we are. We're there on 6th Street. Many people may know it in part by the beautiful mural, which is currently on the side of that Jackson Hotel, as well as historically, that was a site that was considered at one point for a potential African-American museum that never came to fruition. And I'm glad we're looking at affordable housing, because when you look at the needs of this community, the thing which comes up again and again and again is the need for affordable housing. So I understand you've got a multi-phased project. Why don't you walk us through the various phases that are planned and talk about how it's going to provide this positive impact?
No problem. So phase one would be the historical preservation efforts of the old Silas Swallow Mansion. Silas Swallow actually ran for president against Theodore Roosevelt, and we actually were able to convert his former residence into three residential apartments and also 2 commercial spaces. The next portion of that would be the renovation efforts of 1002 and then also 1006, which is the actual Jackson House portion. And then phase 2 would be the beautification efforts of this particular corridor, which will include hardscaping, additional preservation efforts to the mural that's currently there. We're also going to add historical markers to some of the locations specific to the Bethel Village, also to the Jackson House, and then to overall coin the entire square. And then the third portion of it, as you mentioned earlier, is the Bethel Village project, which is 49 units of affordable housing. Currently, right now, we've received a commitment from both the city of Harrisburg, and we appreciate your administration for being supportive of that. Also, our friends from Dauphin County and a private-public partnership to kind of help with some of the immediate funds that will be needed to make this project go. But it's 49 units of affordable senior housing, 1-bedroom units of about 800 to 900 square feet, total about $30,000 in space, 30,000 square feet in space. It also will have a community room in which we are trying to utilize some of the artifacts from our friends at Historic Harrisburg and some of the other locals to be able to preserve and to communicate some of the illustrious history of this particular block and Harrisburg in general. So the building is energy efficient with LEED certification. We also have rooftop decks and different community activities that we plan to provide at no cost to these residents. And as you stated, this partnership is with Harrisburg Housing Authority and their nonprofit arm, along with Murray Architects, RB Development, Vice Capital, and a number of other groups that all pulling together to ensure that these rooms still become affordable, and that we're able to provide such a benefit for the community.
Yes, thank you. And this, of course, the housing portion of the Bethel Village project is planned for the empty lot that's right there on the corner, and it is absolutely needed. It's arguably more needed than ever, especially with the impact that we're seeing from COVID-19. But can you talk a little bit about why doing an affordable housing project is not only important, but also is your focus for this particular area?
Absolutely. Well, as you look at the area, it is developing very well. You look at the additions of the federal courthouse and the state archive buildings and a number of other projects that are going on locally. And we felt as though that we should pay attention to the city's comprehensive plan and some of the other housing studies that are out there that state that there's an immediate need for affordable housing. And, once the study was done in 2017, we've seen a number of those projects not move. So we thought that there would be a great opportunity for us to be able to provide affordable housing for some of our more seasoned citizens. They were in crisis even prior to the COVID-19. But as you already know and understand, that COVID has disproportionately affected the lower income communities, and then also to our aging population. Again, this is just a microcosm of what can be done once we are able to link up private and public partnership to be able to help out so many more in the community.
Thanks, Ryan. And I'm going to ask this of each of the projects, and they're all in sort of different stages and phases of development. But I realize that all these projects are complicated and they require putting together exactly those types of private-public partnerships that you're describing. But if all continues to go well, when can people expect to see the sort of shovels in the ground for the Bethel Village?
The larger portion of the third phase of it, though, we're expected to get started in construction, Lord willing, in sometime in March of 2021.
Okay. So coming up, a lot to see. And as a final thought, can you talk about how your project, specifically how you would target your project to provide opportunities for disadvantaged businesses and contractors in the city of Harrisburg?
Well, as you know, Mayor, I think that's an important topic. Many of our businesses have been looked over and haven't been supported over the years. So as you look into 2020, you now have a number of businesses that are still there that need to be supported. And in a city that is majority minority, we think that it's a great opportunity for us to be able to support our own by being able to implement small minority businesses into the entire supply chain, whether that's on the professional side of the construction project or specific to the non-permanent jobs during construction, and then also after construction when we actually open up businesses there. So it's a really exciting time for African American business. I think that right now that once we're in a tight situation, but within the next couple of months, as we see things loosen up, that we'll see a lot more businesses emerge because market share has grown.
Okay, well, thanks. Thank you very much, Ryan. And I'm going to turn now to Tarek Castile, who is the president of TLC Construction and Renovations right here in Harrisburg. And Tarek, I want to talk about your cornerstone project for Allison Hill. But before we do that, give us an update on the hub, the Harrisburg Uptown building, and the activities that are going on there. It has made a tremendous impact, and I think you're sort of building on the impact that you've made with that. I also know that you were a founding member of the Pennsylvania Diversity Coalition, which is also based out of the hub. So let's, by way of introduction, and before we get into the specifics of the Allison Hill project, give us an update on the hub and the Diversity Coalition and your efforts there.
Good afternoon, everyone. The hub is doing well. We have a bunch of minority businesses in this building, all African American businesses. We have a training facility, have a carpentry shop in the building where we do training for ex-offenders, veterans, and hard-to-place individuals in construction. We also have a computer lab for computer training, and guys and women who wants to need computer skills, and we do have that training as well in the building. We have a law firm in the building. We have a civil engineering firm in the building. You have a floor. The first floor is mainly nonprofit organizations where CRAM is the lead nonprofit and one of the owners of the hub, where she helps other nonprofits help other organizations become nonprofits and help them out with some grant writing skills. But we also have for-profit businesses upstairs. Like I said, is civil engineering, TLC Construction, which is my company. We have a law firm upstairs. We also have PennDOT's DB supportive services in the building, which they're upstairs as well, where people can get certified with the DB program that PennDOT runs, which is run by ProRank Business Solutions. ProRank is another African American organization that does all the DB supportive services for PennDOT. The PADC is also in this building upstairs. The PADC was started back in 2016, but it was originally called the Harrisburg Diversity Coalition until we reached out to other cities in Pennsylvania, where we went to Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and got to talking and meeting with other African American businesses, and seeing that the same situation in Harrisburg was pretty much everywhere around the state, probably around the country. But we formed the Pennsylvania Diversity Coalition, which is headed up by Carl Singleton. The PADC was founded by a group of us African American businesses and professionals who wanted to see, capacity far as African Americans and working with each other, to form, showing that we can work together and we can build our own capacity and build our own communities and get things done that we wanted to see in our community. So it isn't just business, it's also just professionals, African American professionals, just helping us work together and build that capacity.
Thanks for that update, and I'm glad to hear the hub is bustling and doing well, and that business is good. You're well known for having done a number of projects in Harrisburg. Right there next to the hub, of course, is the Veterans Housing Building. But let's talk about your vision for revitalization in a part of Allison Hill that really needs it. One of the things about the Cornerstone Project, which has always appealed to me, is your focus on really redeveloping an entire neighborhood, an entire community. So let's talk a little bit about what is your vision, what does it entail, and what will people expect to see? And why don't you situate us here geographically?
Well, the Cornerstone project is going to be on Regina Street, 15th from Regina, between Regina and Walnut Street. We acquired the area, the land in that area. It was one of the worst areas in the city as far as blight, and you know, I wanted to work that area because it was a lot of open lots, open space. The housing was pretty spotty in the area, and then we had a church that was dilapidated, and I wanted to bring some development in that area. Not only just in that area, I wanted to work that whole Allison Hill area from Walnut Street, and I plan on doing 3 phases going all the way towards Market Street. But the first phase, we are on the 50 unit development with a community center over there. The community center is going on 15th Street, right where the old church was sitting. So we're doing 26 duplex houses and 24 unit multifamily housing, which is we have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. We have a computer lab going into the computer labs going into the community center, as well as a kitchenette. But we also have supportive service programs that's going to be over in the building. Because one thing I always say is, when you're doing community development, you should be developing the community as a whole, not just putting up buildings and houses or commercial spaces. Community development, to me, looks like you're developing the community as far as giving them some type of training before they can be employed, hiring them, giving them the opportunity, not just doing the training. When you're doing training and you're not providing job opportunities with the training, what use is the training? So that's why my concept is a little different. I just believe in community development. You develop the people's mindset, and you want to have them involved in the projects. When they got skin in the game, they definitely will take care of what they're building in that community. Not only that, they will be paying taxes. They'll be tax-paying citizens, and that's what we need in this community, in the city, period, is the guys being trained, offered employment, and they were able to pay taxes. And so when things are, going on, like, what's going on now in the community, people protesting, and they, you have some people doing some looting, but, if you built something, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to tear that up, because you had skin in the game. And a lot of times we're not afforded the opportunity to work on projects, even in our own back door. So I'm from the community, born and raised in Harrisburg, and reason why I think this project's very important, because I come from the same thing with most of these, not to say most, but a lot of these guys come from this, thinking they have no hope. I was like that at one point, but then when I figured out my strengths and start working towards my goals, and I started doing things, I started seeing the light. And I know a lot of these guys can relate to me, because I've been in the streets. I've done a lot of the things that they've done, if not more. And the end of the day is, I want to give back, and my way of giving back is showing them the path that I took, and showing them the way that it can be done. But the thing is, we have to work together, and we have to show these youth coming up that no matter what you've been through, you can turn it around, and we can you see an African American that come from the bottom, and you can basically follow these footsteps and see it can be done, because most of the times we never seen a African American developer out here. It's something that's definitely needed. There's people can know that's going to be a pathway. And that's basically what I'm trying to create, leave a little, somewhat a legacy that it can be done. And no matter what you've been through, it's not the end.
Absolutely. Well, it can be done, and you're a great role model for it. And one of the reasons that the city's so pleased to be a partner here is because of the workforce training aspect, the community development aspect, and really how you're bringing all those pieces together on a very large scale. Can you talk a little bit about the housing component? Why affordable housing is important? Why you're choosing to? Why you see an opportunity here in a part of Harrisburg that maybe others haven't seen?
Well, I say affordable housing is important. I grew up in affordable housing, actually in Hall Manor. So I lived there quite a many years, and I always wanted to, see different things in the community, but it wasn't there. But now it's my opportunity to build it. So I want to put together some things that I will wanted to see in the housing complexes of affordable housing. So, and I also wanted to give guys opportunity. Like when I grew up, when living in affordable housing, and say they was doing some work out in that area, I didn't see many people that looked like me working on these houses. So at the end of the day, when I have the opportunity and learn the way of putting together projects, I wanted to see people that look like me that's going to be living in these projects, give them the opportunity. What do you want to see in this community? So basically putting together what the people will want to see. And, and I reach out to them, people in the community, when I'm ready to do something, and ask questions and ask them what they want to see. And, I try to deliver on what they saying that they want to see. I can't give you everything, but I can give you some. And I will work hard to give you what you're looking for. So that's basically what why I picked that area is, like I said, is mainly because it's that area is a low income area. And I think if we started out with some affordable housing, no one was doing development in that area. And if I pick the worst of the worst, not the worst of the worst, but one of the worst areas, and showing that what it could become, I would hope that other people can see that, and then everyone pick a different area, and everybody start working together and building up the city as a whole.
Oh, I agree. I agree so much. And exactly, you're basically you're blazing a path here, which will hopefully serve as an inspiration for others as to what can be done. And you're modeling a grassroots, bottom-up approach to development, which is very different from other types of traditional development, where a developer comes in with his or her own vision. Yours is community-based and bottom-up. Let me ask you the same question I asked Ryan, which is, I know these projects are very complicated, all sorts of different sources of funding, and much that has to be put together, but you're real close. So what's where do we stand in terms of timing? When can the public expect to see construction begin for the first phase?
Well, we should be closing out in September, actually 2 months. Should be seeing shovels in the ground by the end of September, maybe the first week of October, as long as the COVID thing holds up, where we can constantly be working. We don't know from day to day, because we was really supposed to start in May. So it got pushed back a little bit, and a couple of things that we needed to get in as far as submittals, and some other funding things had slowed down. So that's what was the holdup. But I definitely want to thank the city for help fund some of this project, and the support that we got from City Council and yourself and your administration. I definitely appreciate that. But we also like to thank PHFA for awarding us a tax credit. But far as the project itself, we should be starting in September. We looking to do over 25% minority participation on the project, as far as businesses, boots on the ground. And if we can't get it far as the businesses, we definitely will do it in workforce. But that's basically why TLC work-based training, where we train these guys in the community in construction, that's basically why that was formed. Because a lot of times we don't have the capacity, or we don't have enough minority businesses. So my thing was to build the workforce, because if you can't get it in business, we need to get it in workforce, especially when you have a majority minority city. So I definitely want to see people in our own community working on this, because they can do the work. And it's not something that we're not capable of doing. And that's a lot of stuff that people say that we don't have the capacity or the qualifications. So I'll try to step in and fill those roles, and to show that we do have the capacity and we have some qualified workers in the community.
Okay, well, thank you, Tarek, and exciting to know that project is almost ready to put the shovels in the ground. And if people want to find out more about the training aspects, they can find you day in and day out at the Hub, where you're broadcasting live right now, right? Yes. We'll check you out there. I'm gonna turn to Corey Dupree next, who is the COO at the Bridge Eco Village, which I know is another development project which has everyone in Harrisburg talking about. And if you don't know about the bridge, we're going to find out about it right now. So, Corey, let's start by way of introduction. What is the bridge, and what is your role there?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you once again, Mayor, for having me on today. And thank you to the city of Harrisburg for your undaunted excitement and support in our project. So just in a nutshell, if you will, the bridge is somewhere, the Bridge Eco Village is somewhere where you can work, eat, live, learn, and play. So upon completion, we plan on anticipating having co-working space, office space for small businesses, for entrepreneurs, for individual students, larger companies. So that eco feel, if you will. The Eat branch on site will have a vegan fast food restaurant. We've structured strategic partnerships, in which we'll be growing through hydroponics, fresh fruits, vegetables, providing to the Allison Hill community as well as beyond. So our site is located at the former Bishop McDevitt High School, so right up there on the hill, in which we would also love to service Giant, Wegmans, Wise, as well as the farmers that are local in the area, and through educational things, not just for children, because sometimes when you hear education, I would just jump to the minds of children, but through educating adults on how to go ahead and have a hydroponic system right there in your backyard. So sometimes in the winter months where you might want to go ahead and get a certain fruit or vegetable and you can't, you could grow that sustainably right there on your porch. The live portion is actually going to be a mixed use facility. So in terms of mixed socioeconomic status, so lower income, affordable housing, as well as market rate. So originally being from Cambridge, Massachusetts, I was in, my grandmother were lotteried in through Section 8 housing into a facility that we plan on integrating that system to upstairs, where we had professional athletes living upstairs and professors from Harvard and MIT right down the hall. But knowing that with Section 8 voucher, I was able to go ahead and become a product of my environment in this incubator style living space, if you will. Our Learn is our nonprofit, on which we'll focus on financial literacy, home ownership, credit repair, student loan consolidations, and debt repair. Because the one hindrance, or a large hindrance within marginalized community, is access. So it's important that we partner with local nonprofits, we partner with local financial institutions to go ahead and provide that access to this information. because 75% of Allison Hill, the area we'll be occupying, is vacant. So, and of that 75%, 75% is occupied, but a large portion of that is renters. So we do want to go ahead and push the importance of home ownership to provide generational wealth within our communities. And the last piece is going to be play. The play is going to focus on virtual reality. So we've gotten feedback for augmented reality, as well as some play space. So this has all been community feedback through our panels over the past 7 or 8 months. We've gotten some great feedback, some great suggestions from mental health aspects, as well as health and wellness overall. But through these strategic partnerships, we have created the bridge, if you will.
Yeah, wonderful. And one of the things which each of these projects has in common is that they are really responsive to community input, and they're putting the needs of the community first within this community development context. Talk a little bit about, because I think it's pretty extraordinary, the vision that you've come up with here. Can you talk a little bit more specifically how you've gotten the community involved and how you've gone out of your way to solicit suggestions and ideas to develop this full bridge concept?
Absolutely. So, and I wouldn't say to have stepped out of my way. I would say that throughout the whole process, we've integrated the community as a whole. Through, like I mentioned, just emails and Facebook live sessions. But it's really important that as developers that we don't have a complex where we just say, hey, this is what the community needs. And we just throw it, because that's where we end up with empty buildings and things are just not used, and people just feel unconsulted, for lack of better words, because there is that complex that sometimes tends to be around the world of development. So with all that being said, not only have we integrated the community, we plan on continuing to integrate the community in some things. At Milton Hershey, we were nationally certified in a certain career technical pathway. So such as mine was culinary arts. So I got a ServSafe certification at 16. We know that there's VOTech, as well as individuals who love carpentry. Or similar to what Mr. Castillo had spoken earlier, we'd love to have that grassroots mission where we tie in with primarily minority, marginalized members in our community to come in and help build the bridge. So that way you're able to go ahead and start your own LLC, you're able to go ahead and start your own business. So really creating a better person coming out as a product of the bridge.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about sort of the why Harrisburg question. I mean, you've got Tarek is looking at an area which has been overlooked for generations, and which other developers didn't give another thought to. Ryan is looking at a historical area, but one as well which has been neglected for decades and really requires revitalization. You're taking a building which sat vacant for a long period of time. It was basically abandoned by Bishop McDevitt, and which nobody else has been able to envision, a working development plan for. So, why Harrisburg, and what is it that you see that others don't?
Yeah, so the core portion of our team, myself, Gary, Jordan, Robert, and Desjuan, we all attended, for the most part, the Milton Hershey School. Gary, Rob, Jordan, and Des all hail from central Pennsylvania, so from Harrisburg. So that was really the start. Our vision is to go ahead and obviously grow much larger, but we make sure that home has to be taken care of first, in all essence of the words. And our mission is through acquiring old warehouses, malls, schools, and turning them into these eco-villages, that we do so sustainably. Harrisburg, unfortunately, is viewed as a population of 50,000 people. It's almost the epitome of systematic oppression. It's food desert. There's the housing challenges, quote unquote, crisis, if you will, as well as the poor education, the lower education system. Now we are seeing strides going towards the future. But we felt that if we're going to go ahead and build, we might as well build at home, where home we feel like the community needs it. and community wants it, more importantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're seeing it with your project and with the other projects. You're seeing a real belief not only in Harrisburg but also that we can change the dynamic. We can make a difference. I've long felt that Harrisburg is of a certain scale, which is not an insurmountable one. Our problems are solvable. We're not a large city. We're not a extremely large school district. We can fix these things if we all roll up our sleeves and work together and focus on it. So let's end with the same question I've asked the others, which is give us a sense of timing. When can we expect to see? I know you have control over the building and things have been going on already, but when can we expect to see the various phases of the bridge project? Sketch out a timeline.
Yeah, so just to go and give everybody an idea, we've been working also with Murray Associates, and they've right now have been doing an amazing job through our conceptual and design phase, going based off the community feedback. So we're looking at a 24-month timeline from the start of construction. With unfortunately, one thing we can't take into account is COVID and any of those restrictions. But a 24-month timeline from mid-fall, early fall.
That's great. It's going to be so impactful to see these projects all sort of coming together on a similar timeline and a similar scale. And were it not for COVID, some would have already started. So appreciate that. Thank you very much. And we're going to turn now to Mchale Simpson, who is the CEO of Capital Rebirth. And Mchale, first of all, I'll let you tell us a little bit about Capital Rebirth and your vision. But one of the reasons that I find your project so extraordinary is that you do not yet have site control, but you do have community buy-in in the sense that hundreds and hundreds of people have signed a petition on Facebook and on the internet for supporting Capital Rebirth. So, what is Capital Rebirth, and what is your vision?
First, I want to say thank you for inviting me to the show. Capital Rebirth is a nonprofit organization based in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, with our mission statement being to unify and uplift Central Pennsylvania through providing positive events and programs. And what you just mentioned on the petition for the Rebirth project, which we're trying to do at the William Penn High School, we are currently almost up to 8,000 signatures online right now. Which is great momentum for us. And it lets, the people who are making the decisions, which is the school district, know that the community is supporting. This is something that they want to see happen. And, we don't want to get faked out with usually happens in the city is people from outside the state or outside the city come, and they are the developers and they put things in our community without the community's input. So this project was based solely off the community's needs and wants and things that, we've been seeing over the years.
Yeah, and we should start by saying that, the William Penn campus is owned by the Harrisburg School District, and which is currently under receivership, and ultimately it'll be their decision who to determine should be the developer of that site. I have spoken to them, as I said I would, about your project, and I believe they're still very much in the information gathering phase. So I think it's important to talk about what your vision is, and we've got a real opportunity here today. So were you to have control of the site, to talk to folks about what your vision is for it.
So our vision pretty much consists of three entities, which is education, entertainment, and health and wellness, with it being 50 lecture-style classrooms, just as they are in college campuses, 25 VOTEC training classrooms. Without VOTEC in our city, it is, hurt our youth and hurt our young adults tremendously. And right now our district is paying upwards of $3 million for only 200 students to attend a DC Tech program, which is, suffering for our kids. It will have adult and kids autism sensory gym. We'll have a swimming pool area, indoor agriculture area, a fitness gym, a boxing gym area, 4 basketball and volleyball courts, a physical therapy area, a food court area, which we want all the local vendors operating to be from the city. We'll have a daycare in there and an indoor playground, which will consist of the first and second floor. And on our third floor, we will have a football field and soccer field and 2 youth baseball fields. And like I said, this will serve the community 365. With the weather being an issue up north, whether it's snow, rain, whatever the case may be, if you have an event at this facility or you have something going on or service, you don't ever have to worry about weather interfering. And another major key component to this is, this is a fallout shelter in case of a natural disaster or a pandemic like we're going through right now. It's clear of the flood zone stage with the riverfront being close to it. But like I said, our indoor football stadium, which will sit about 20,000, and our multi-purpose complex will have everything entailed that I just listed. We can have, a large amount of residents or half this city with the residents population only being 49,000.
So that's quite an extraordinary vision, and it really I wonder how you see that sort of upholding the legacy of William Penn itself. Can you talk to that?
So that was the main thing that we wanted to incorporate when we were designing this, is to uphold, some parts of the legacy which William Penn once stood for. It was a school that I attended in middle school. Like I said, I grew up uptown, so I've seen William Penn in the works, and I've seen it close for the past 10 years. But we want to preserve the 6 pillars up front because we want to knock the building down and move it out as close as we can to the sidewalk. So the students that attend the classroom section, the learning section, VOTEC area, they'll enter the building as if they were entering William Penn High School as it once was. And then in the actual check-in area, we want to have a wall sitting behind that, which will be dedicated to the timeline of William Penn and showing the history of William Penn. So either if you enter the building, for learning purposes, you'll enter in the William Penn facet. And if not, you're just coming to utilize the gym or, the food court or the daycare area, upon checking in, you will see, the history of what William Penn once was. So those are the ways we want to uphold William Penn. Like I said, William Penn was education and VOTEC function. So that's what we want to focus on as well.
Right. With each of these projects, we've talked about, upholding a historical legacy, work-based training, the concept of a grassroots community development. Your project has a athletics component to it. It's you're describing a sports complex. Why? How do you see athletics as part of your revitalization vision?
Well, first off, I was an athlete. Like I said, the same day I signed an NFL contract, was the same day I was told I could never play football again due to finding things on my spine. So football and sports naturally, led this charge, with the first entity being the indoor stadium. Like I said, this would be the only indoor stadium of this magnitude in the entire Northeast region. So when we take my sports background into play, that was the first development of it, which led into the classrooms, and other parts of the complex. But like I said, sports is a very, very important piece to our city. A lot of kids, depend on sports to, further their education, network with people and just get outside the city. I was blessed to start traveling at about 8 or 9 years old, and I've traveled, from the East Coast to the West Coast, to north to south, met so many people, was able to get a free scholarship, at the University of Virginia. So I think sports is very pivotal in our community and is very pushed often, like I said, but a lot of times, football example, we can't train our athletes all year round because of the weather. But now with this type of complex, they can come in and they can get that work 365. We can have a lot of successful athletes coming through this city.
Well, thank you, Mchale, for sharing your vision. Thank you for letting us know more about the Rebirth project. And there you have it, Harrisburg. If you put all of these projects together, you begin to see a vision for the future of this city, which is bold and optimistic and transformative in every way. And we're fortunate to have such visionary developers at its core. I know Corey's got a jump off moment, so any questions for him before we go to the rest of the group?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. If I could take I can toss this question to Corey here from Pooja. Affordable housing goes hand in hand with accessibility to essential needs and access to quality food. She's asking, when do you think proper grocers will be in the community, for example, in the areas of Mchale, 6th Street, and other neighborhoods of the city?
All right, thank you. If you don't mind, it was just a little bit faint. Just asking the question once again, the tail end.
Sure. About proper grocery stores in the community, places like Mchale and 6th Street and other neighborhoods of the city. Do you see those coming up anytime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, I do know that there are organizations that are just starting. For example, I know Tri-County Community Action just started their farmers market. So that will go ahead be popping up here soon. That will fall in line with the timeline of our construction, which is the 18 to 24 months. Now, throughout this process, we do find it important that we are integrated, like I said, with strategic partnerships. So working with local individuals, as well as ourselves are experimenting, for lack of better words, with growing fruits and vegetables in this climate. And being able to go and just pass that education out to the community so it doesn't need a storefront until we are all completely ready to rock and roll here in the next 2 years.
And I can add, the city just announced this past week, I almost put it in the announcements, that we got a major grant for the greenhouse project there in Reservoir Park, which is right behind the bridge. And another example of how, we're all working together to try and address the issue of the food desert that is Harrisburg. And you see that again and again and again, but I think it's really integral to the bridge's model and project to provide accessible, healthy foods. So thanks. Other questions for the group?
I know Corey has to drop off, but before you go, I did want to mention Mchale says such an awesome project. So she's really excited about that.
Thank you.
Next question for Ryan. How can people find out more about the Bethel project?
Going live with the Jackson Square website here within the next month, which will highlight many of the businesses that are currently on that corridor. And we're also waiting for the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency to come out with some additional announcements here later in August as well.
I'll build on that too and say, Ryan, the Messiah College has put together an amazing digital Harrisburg project for the old 8th Ward and done some extraordinary things. So I think continuing that up to up 6th Street and into this neighborhood could be a powerful history lesson for everyone.
All right, great. Next question is for Mchale. Michael asks, would the facility be sort of like a locally owned and operated YMCA?
Yes, in a sort. With that being said, I'll give an example. For example, if I wanted to run an after-school program, a summer program right now, and I wanted to go to the YMCA or the Boys Club or, one of the school buildings, they usually have their own programs running, so I'm not going to get a space. But with this mega complex, we can have, 10 different programs going on at once that are catering to 10 different needs. Like I said, the Y may focus on, science and math, and other kids are interested in other things. But with this complex, we'll be able to have multiple organizations running multiple programs at once, catering to multiple different interests of the residents of all ages.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question is for Tariq. Where can people find out more about your projects?
Well, I just got to update my website. Our project's already funded. We was awarded a year ago, but I do need to update my website. So the project is definitely going in September. So we only 2 months away. So this project will be starting in, but our old project, far as the hub and the veteran housing, is on the website already. This was already a completed project, but it's going to be a phase 2 of the hub. I forgot to mention that because we didn't talk too much on that, but we do have funding for phase 2 of the hub. We're going to do 8 units of moderate income housing, low and moderate income housing on 5th and Kelker Street. So it's stay tuned for that too. That's be going sometime this year as well, within the next, I guess, 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, that's exciting too. Hey, Tarek, what I was trying to get at earlier, and I think if the question is well, if somebody's watching this and they want to actually get involved in the construction side and the work-based training side, how do they get connected with your training arm?
Or you can go reach out to us on our website, tlchbg.com. You can go to the for-profit construction, and it's the TLC work-based training nonprofit. They're both attached to that website, and you can fill out the form and come and start the classes. Or if you're looking for a job, fill out the form. I'll bring you in for an interview, and go over some things and let you know if we can use you a part of our company.
Great.
As far as we definitely is looking forward to expanding our capacity, because we have a few young African American and people in the community. Period. It's nothing to do with African American as far as the training, but I'm trying to keep it with local people in the community, young guys in the community, training those guys, young men and women. It's not just for men, but it's men and women. But like I said, we started for just ex-offenders and veterans, but it's hard to place individuals, and that can basically mean anybody. So, but I definitely like to keep it local, because we definitely need some help as far as our young guys in this community need some help.
Sure.
But the website is hbg.com.
Great. We'll be sure to check that out. And it just sounds like there's going to be an awful lot of construction jobs here in short order, and we're going to have opportunities, and we want to make sure that those opportunities are out there for people watching.
And I think we have time for one more question, and perhaps this could be tossed out to the group, and we can start with you, Tarek, and I'll ask the same question to each of you. Why do you think community development is an integral part of the city?
I would say is basically we need to get the taxes back, because we still are not out of the woods as far as the financial aspect, as far as the city, but we also need to update our housing. Our housing is, most of it is over 75 years old, I would say, probably even more. So we definitely need the housing. We definitely need to bring the taxes back, and we definitely need to get some guys employed, and men and women employed, and businesses back running. Everybody needs to make some money, and everyone needs money. So far as the city needs the money, the housing needs updated. People need to be working. Business need to be starting. So.
Great. And I'll ask Ryan, you next. Why is community development, why is that such an important part for the city and its future?
So long, a lot of different minority groups within the community feel as though they've been left behind. So as of right now, our strategy is really to continue to keep building from within. And we believe that it's important because we need to attack, several different pillars within community development, whether that's on the political side, whether that's on the psychological side, because our community is dealing with many of the issues with empowerment and so forth. And then also on the economical side, as we look at workforce development and how we're utilizing public and private partnerships amongst our overall community.
All right. Great. And Mchale, same question for you.
I think it's key, especially these plans are being developed from, residents and lifelong residents of Harrisburg. So we kind of get that feel and understanding, of all the angles and needs and wants of the community, from the uptown to the projects, to the hill, to the south side. And then showing us all, we're coming together. We're using our resources. We're reaching out together to different people. I think it's showing unity on a larger scale for our youth, that you can't do things by yourself, and you need teams, you need help to get things done. Like I said, this city has so much potential. Back in the 1950s, it had over almost 100,000 residents, and we need to get it back to, that type of booming economy, for this future of the city.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Mohan.
And just for clarification, I think we may have had a bad connection, but Tarek, can you tell us your website again?
TLCHBG.com.
All right. Great.
Great, thanks. Yeah, no, we're talking about the population. Both Mchale and Tarek mentioned we do have to increase our population. The tax base of the city is not large enough to sustain its day-to-day operations. That's been a continual challenge. The way to build up the tax base is to grow the population. But if you do that, you're going to be putting strains on the existing housing stock for sure, and the existing infrastructure of the city. And we need developers to come in and make sure that that growth is done in a way which doesn't displace current residents and includes affordable housing. So one of the things that I'm going to be going and doing this afternoon is I've got a meeting with our economic development team, because we're going to be putting forth some affordable housing legislation to City Council when they return in August, that is going to try and incentivize projects like these, which are already being supported by the city, but projects like these in ways that can really ensure that as the city grows, we all grow, and we don't end up displacing the very people that we're trying to help and employ, and become a part of that future growth for the city. So let me say thank you to all of our guests. What a great panel and discussion we had this week. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, a quick plug for next week's show. We're going to talk about the infrastructure side of what we're doing here. You have these amazing projects happening in various corridors, or planned for various corridors of the city. Well, what are we doing from an engineering and traffic standpoint to improve our roads, improve our safety, improve our transportation networks? Well, that'll be the topic for next week's show, and I think there'll hopefully be a lot of questions. I hope people will tune in. So until next week, this is Mayor Eric Papenfu saying thank you for watching our community conversation on Facebook Live. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.